The football world doesn't stop unrelenting, and it did move on this morning with one of the key off-season appointments as the Essendon coach, John Worsfold.
Our objective, and Paul touched on it, was to get the best possible pool of candidates into the process. And our final shortlist was highly credentialed, qualified potential coaches at the Essendon Football Club, and we were very comfortable about the standard of those coaches. John, through the final round, was a clear, compelling candidate. His ability to align people is a key strength, and I think it's a compelling strength that we see beneficial to our football club moving forward.
When we first started that process, the selection process for a coach, we wanted to get the best pool, the best talent available. It was a pretty unique role. Like it wasn't like we were just looking for a traditional football coach. As such, we were going through a really difficult period. We hadn't quite got through it. We knew we needed a steady football hand, someone that had significant experience. Like that's predominantly what we're looking. We wanted someone with experience that had been through all different types of situations, who could help us navigate through whichever direction was going to sort of get to, because we didn't quite know. We had we had particular views. They turned out to be wrong, and we got blindsided in the end. But John was probably the most experienced person that was available at that point in time, and there were other clubs that were probably pretty keen on John, which meant we had to take some extraordinary steps to convince him to enter the process, rightly or wrongly. But the rest is sort of history.
It's an honour for me to coach this footy club. One, I don't take it lightly. You have to be passionate. You have to have a strong mindset. And you have to be self-driven. My attitude generally is around providing players with every opportunity to achieve what they want to achieve out of their footy. If that's the absolute ultimate, then we make sure that they get that opportunity.
2016, it was a strange and hard year. It was heartbreaking at the start. Like the emotions at that point is it's hard to describe, it's hard to articulate. How we all felt at that point in time, it was clearly for Woosha, it was only 2 months into his tenure, or 2.5 months. So it went from being probably, what we thought was going to be a decision where it was going to be still managing the group through, and there was probably going to be a fair bit of relief, but still a need to align, because it was a group that had been through such a unique and challenging situation, and it had impacted the broader group as well. And then it became the most extreme of circumstances, and he's incredibly calm, and he was a great right-hand man. He was incredibly helpful at the time. Rob Kerr, John, they were both extremely calm, and for me as CEO, when I was dealing with a whole range of different issues that the club was then faced for, the flow and impact was enormous, let alone the people impact, which was the most significant. He had that steady hand, and he was unflappable, really. He cared, but he worked hard to balance the football piece and the purpose with that care.
Today was around us, was everyone, not just the 22 that ran out today. It was everyone involved this year in a year that probably out of the issues of the last few years, potentially this could have been the worst year. It could have been the year where things fractured and it got too hard, and everyone started looking to blame or worry about the future. But everyone's effort to pull together to say that's not going to be the case. To develop the vision that we developed and stick to that all throughout the year has been a credit to you guys and everyone, staff. Everyone has been working so well as a team.
He's definitely made the club a better place, and I appreciate that sort of the wins and losses piece is incredibly important, and we've been able to obviously make a couple of finals through that period, and we're still striving to get better now, because of certainly this year we haven't got to where we wanted to get to, and we haven't got that continuity and the consistency. But he's worked, what he took on at the start, people just, it's unfathomable to think of what he actually had to take. And I only probably think of it now and reflect on it now, how challenging it was. Like the different pieces he had to try and bring back together. In some respects in the 2016, it was as hard as it was, there was some enjoyable moments as well, the moments that you still remember now that brought the group together. The win against Melbourne, his first win as senior coach, the finish to the year, like they were team and club building things that happened, and they had a massive impact on the players that weren't with us that year who had been suspended. And then moving into 2017, bringing the group back together, that was much harder than what people would think. That was difficult. That was incredibly difficult. And we made finals that year. I reckon we almost made finals on emotion. It was just this incredible melting pot, this group coming together. And I guess some perspective around that is that maybe it happened too soon, and maybe we weren't quite at that level just there at that point. And John's played a massive part in helping rebuild the foundations of the football club that I do genuinely feel like position us well for this next phase that we're coming into. We're not where we need to be just yet, but we definitely have great foundations to get us there.
We call it an off-season. We don't call it a break, because you never really have a break as an elite athlete. Would that be fair? Some do. Some AFL players see the 8 or 10 weeks as a break. Generally, those guys play 20 or 30 games and drift out of the system, because the blokes are working their asses off to get better and grow and get stronger, take their spot. But it's the focus on where you guys want to take yourselves to individually and as a group. And that starts pretty much immediately. And you have a bit of downtime and you don't come to the club, but you're never anything but an elite athlete. The more you grow and learn that, the more you give yourself a chance to achieve what you want to individually in this game, and collectively with a chance of growing.
I think, when you get to know John, he's just so consistent. He doesn't operate in extremes. He operates very consistently right in the middle, and I think that's like it's a really attractive skill set when you've got other skill sets that balance that, because it's a really hard skill set to find, and the emotion and everything else like that. With what we'd been through, we didn't necessarily need at the time that those extremes, and he was able to bring something that we could some glue to build it all together, and it was incredibly valuable and has been valuable for us. I mean, even see it. He's typical of John, his selflessness this year, his work with Ben. Yes, he's the senior coach and has been the senior coach this year, but he has been incredibly selfless in the way he's lent support and mentoring to Ben. The walks they have consistently to talk about the different decisions they've had to make and the process they put in place. He's not directing Ben necessarily, he's guiding Ben, and I think that sums John up. He wants the best for the football club.
A number of times we talk about, we play to you, bring your best game. So if your best game is not quite good enough, people say you've got to have a plan B. And you go, well, why aren't we playing plan B all the time if it's going to be better than plan A? And I understand, you might tweak things, but you can't train a certain way and bring these values that help you win week on week. Yeah. Come into a game and say, no, we're going to change everything we're doing, try this. We've only trained it for 12 minutes during the week, boys, but we expect you to be real good at it, and then it's going to pay off. So, the thing is, don't try to keep changing your game plan week on week to say that might just help us win that game. If you want to be a great team, you've got to have your
be prepared to play that medium to long game of
back it in,
what do you think's going to get you there in the end?
Yeah.
I think we're all better off having worked with John, but because John adds a skill set, as I said before, like it's an underrated skill set, and it's for a lot of us. I can be emotional. There's different extremes I can get to, and you watch John and you learn from John in that sense. I think for Ben and his coaching, the job is harder than you think going into it. Whether you're a CEO and becoming a leader, or if you're a senior coach and becoming that for the first time. There's just things that you just didn't know. There's pressures that you just haven't experienced before. And I think John has been able to present a buffer for Ben this year. He's been able to present perspective. And at different points where there's a fork in the road, they've been able to discuss on a regular basis which way to go and why. Now, John hasn't necessarily said going this way, you've got to go that way, and just force, but he's helped him through understanding each of the different options that might exist, and for that, I know Ben will be a better coach for it.
Everyone clear what you bring this afternoon? So from that Alpo report and our discussion, obviously offence, attack and defence, you guys will present some ideas around that, but just anything you want to present around some of those questions. So if you present suggestions, and same with stoppages, you've got alarm bells and ideas that you want to throw up, let's throw them up and we can thrash them out this other and work out which way we want to go with it. Happy with that?
Yep. Yeah, well, what we want to walk out today is finalise some strategy with our stoppage stuff and then our oppo stuff, attack and defence. What do we need to manage? Where's our opportunities? And you guys can fine tune that in your lines.
I think like the further to that, the impact that John's going to have on Ben. I mean, he is disciplined. I know externally in his press conferences, he's very much on script, but he's just so disciplined in himself. He's pretty pragmatic, and the ability to be able to think through and know that you can control yourself in those situations. Ben, John does that incredibly well, and I'm sure Ben will be served from that.
Just for the record, Truck did 2 takes and I did 1.5.